Yo, JD here, Limitless. As you can see, we are on F1 2020 here today, and we're going to waste no time whatsoever. We're going to go straight into some gameplay with Max Verstappen round the highly requested, what was it called? Zandvoort? Almost forgot that for a second, at the Netherlands circuit, which unfortunately we were not able to do in real life this year, although we just had a fantastic Grand Prix at Austria. But I want to go against 110 AI straight out the box, see how difficult they really are, because I know a lot of people will probably be attempting this themselves. I've done quite a bit around this track in time trial, so I feel pretty at a decent level. I actually had the number one in time trial before I removed my time, I lapped my setup and everything against some pretty good people who have already got the game, who are pretty fortunate. But before we go into the start of the race, I'm going to show you my wheel settings, although this doesn't really apply to a lot of people because they have different wheels. But this is the Podium DD1 Fanatec. Force feedback is relatively light, and I'll be showing my camera settings as well, which I really do like. These are probably the best camera settings I've actually used on a Formula 1 game. I spent a bit of time doing this, and it feels and looks absolutely awesome. So we're running the default setup, so no setups or anything at all. The only thing I've changed is just the brake bias and everything. Although default puts you on 5-6 wings, but we've got 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights here, and trying to get a really good start to the start of F1 2020, and a very good start going between the 2 Mercedes going into turn 1, and we go straight into the lead here, and that is a perfect start to my experience on this game. And throughout this I'll be showing you most of this 25% race here. It's almost used the car, and I'm just going to be talking about how it feels, how the AI is, and just all the little bits and details so far. At the beginning of this game, I have to say from the very get-go, it just feels so much more connected to the actual car compared to F1 2019. And I know I've got a new wheel and stuff, which the Fanatec definitely does help, but I did use the Fanatec recently on 2019 for my last competitive race I did on that. But in this game here, you just feel, rather than just reacting visually to the oversteer and the feedback and stuff like that, I actually can feel the weight of the aerodynamics in the wheels. As I'm going in more towards the high speed, I can really feel my wheel become a lot more weighted. As you can see, we're running the 5 front wing, which is the default preset we've got going on here. It just feels such a much better experience in every aspect, really, so far. And you can just see it running slightly off track, and that gives me an invalidation, which is another thing which you will be able to see by not just by my gameplay, by a lot of people's gameplay who are going to be running strict corner cutting. The one thing that has really impressed me the most so far in this game, other than just the handling feeling absolutely amazing and just a huge step forward in terms of just feeling and consistency, it's the track limits. The track limits on this game are incredibly strict, really strict. And a perfect example of this is I make a little mistake as a Mercedes tries to go around the outside of me here, as we just about stay here, which we'll move on to the AI in a second. But the track limits are just vastly improved. I think some really good examples are at the end of a Stowe, at the end of the Hangar Straight, if you know what I'm talking about, at the end of the second DRS straight in the first sector at Silverstone. You could run so wide on the exit of that corner on the previous game, super wide. People were even doing it in time trial. Now you cannot do that. If you run just a millimetre off like I did here on the exit of turn 1, if you do that at that corner, it will give you an invalidation, and that is what I really do love to see. Although there will probably come across some corners which could be improved. I think Spa, when the preview build, was definitely one of them, where it's strict in some corners but others not so much. But overall, the tracks I've done so far, it's a really big step up. And again, the handling just feels so satisfying to drive. Really nice to drive on this. Just the feeling, the details that you get, just when the car is going to react or spin, you can feel it coming, as now I have to react to the AI who are being very, very aggressive. I'm trying to hold my position here. And that moves me on to the next thing. This AI, again, I think is a level above the previous game. Although there's no such thing as a perfect AI on a racing game, in my opinion. I think this is just so much better. They just actually go for overtakes round the outside. Sometimes a little bit too aggressive, which you're going to see here. So having to defend, going to top once again, trying to outbrake Hamilton here as we just about keep myself in this position as I try and catch my breath. The AI, I think sometimes a little bit too aggressive, kind of a little bit like Project Cars-esque, like the first game of Project Cars, where they kind of drive like you're not there, because you will see at some points they drive into the back of me mid-corner. This is another perfect example. Again, look at this. You would not have had to have it, so I go for the switchback here, and just the AI experience itself is just so much more, just smoother, just a lot more natural, in my opinion. But I think you might not be able to see it. I don't think he did it on that occasion. But they are just so much more aggressive, so much more feisty, and no, they don't just completely slow down on the apex. Like, although I got the cutback there, realistically, he would have had to really slow down in real life as well. So they are just much more fun to go against. I think is probably the best way to describe it. A lot more fun. You can see we're using the overtake button now, which is simply pretty much like a curse function, but you have to turn it off. So under braking, it doesn't turn off automatically. You have to physically turn it off. And you can see it just uses so much of the ERS deployment. And I think with the overtake, you're pretty much going to not wanting to be using it as much as possible, because I will be doing a separate video on exactly how powerful it is, because you can even turn it on before the start of the race, which again I think a lot of people are going to be doing, because it just gives you so much more horsepower, just so much power. You're just gonna have to use it. As I lock up here, so braking on the curbs again, it's a very, very dangerous thing, and now Hamilton has managed to seize that opportunity here, trying to get on the, I think I'm in the DRS zone here, which I am, but they are just so fast in a straight line. You could just see maybe a little bit too powerful, but we are in the Red Bull, to be fair. But the Red Bull shouldn't be too much slower. I think in time trial it was a good half a second or something slower, but it seems to be the 110 AI have a very, very good acceleration at the corners, I've noticed, particularly. And you can see again how quickly it depletes with the overtake. You can't be running this overtake button every single lap like a Kurz. It doesn't work that way. If you run it every single lap, you're just going to have no ERS, because even when you turn it off, as you can see, when we come off this corner, you can see we're on about almost 50% coming off this corner now. You can't turn off the ERS completely, as I try and use overtake just to try and stay in the DRS zone of Lewis Hamilton, with a nice HUD on the top left where it actually gives you a live feed of how far behind, which I really do enjoy. I think that's a very, very good addition to this game, actually, in fact. But you can see on the bottom right, it is in mode 1, medium, and that is just the standard when you're not using the overtake button. And you can just see anyway, it's going down all the time, and actually pretty quickly as well. So to save back ERS is going to be a nightmare. It's going to be so hard to save it. And some people might say that it's actually a little bit too hard. But in my opinion, I'd rather have a game that really rewards pure pure pace, really, to be honest. Like one-lap pace and just your actual raw pace, rather than sit behind someone. Because it is just so powerful. And if you've got a lot of this ERS deployment or this overtake button for the last couple of laps of a race, you could easily break out the DRS zone of someone else. You really can, and just defend yourself very well. But you can see here, Hamilton has already pulled away to the bit seconds. This 110 AI is incredibly quick. Maybe with a Mercedes and a setup might be a little bit different, but I feel I'm actually driving quite well here. I did quite a bit of preparation before this. I didn't come into here like relearning the track or anything. I came into here being very quick in the time trial that I did against some other eSport drivers as well. And you can see this is another perfect example of Bottas just seizing that opportunity. So if you go out wide, they will just undercut you. And again, I think it just feels so much more natural to the previous game. I really do enjoy how the AI are actually working in this game so far, and that leads me on to doing the actual My Team, which I will be doing a little bit later this week, probably as a live stream instead of creating actual videos. But I'm trying to go back at Bottas, but you can just see the straight line speed of my ERS is pretty much almost depleted now. And I'm just going to try to stay in the DRS zone as I've been hit a little bit from behind from Vettel, just about maintaining my position here. And that was just the slightest bit of contact. And another example of how the AI, I think a little bit too aggressive on this 110 AI. They just really drive like you're not there at some moments. But to be fair, in my opinion, I think 110 AI really should be pretty impossible to beat, even if for esport drivers and if you're at that kind of level. That's really how it should be. So initial impressions is that I'm actually very, very impressed how this is working so far. So I'm trying to just maintain my position here. I think that's Perez and Verstappen, and you can just see once again how aggressive this AI is, and you see the speed that he has got. He does have the DRS, but that is just so fast. Was thinking about going down the inside, decides to think better of it, and now I'm going to try and stay with Sergio Perez here. But I'm having so much fun here. This is probably the most fun I've had against an AI in a 25% race for as long as I can remember really, to be honest. We can see again, using the overtake button, although we didn't use it throughout the lap, you can just see how quickly it gets depleted. Can't go down the inside because there is a yellow flag for, I think, Vettel, who's going off. Well, it might have been Leclerc. But now I'm just going to try and stick with him as much as I possibly can. But you'll be able to see it on acceleration again. Getting the throttle nice and early, but he just completely goes away here. And you can see the ERS once again still going down. It's just going to be so hard to save. So it really is going to be about your raw speed, to be honest. And that, again, is something that I'm very, very happy with.
No issues with tyre.
I think it should be a lot harder to save this ERS, rather than relying on just staying behind people. Now, if someone's got a gap and they have better raw pace than you, as I'm being pushed out the way, punched out the way again by my teammate Albon, and you could just see the speed with the DRS he has got. I can't do anything about this, and now I'm coming under attack from Ricciardo behind. Again, and Perez has just completely gone, along with the two Mercedes, I think. They are very, very fast. I think even with a setup, it's going to be very, very difficult to actually beat this AI. Really, really difficult to beat this. Going on the rich and the DRS once again. Not going to use the overtake button because we're going to have to actually harvest some ERS. Love the braking on this game as well. I think you could just be so smooth on the braking and the traction. The last game when I played 2019, having played it recently as well, the game just felt so slidey. It felt like you were just drifting all the time in that game. It just didn't feel like you were planted to the ground, whereas in this one you really do feel planted. And that's another example of the strictness of the track limits, as now my teammate pits, so I have to go on for an extra lap here, and I'm having to drive very, very hard here. Although it's my first day on the game, and of course there will be some time to improve, I don't think there is that much time to improve. But with the setup, there is probably going to be half a second potentially max per lap or something. But no, they really, really are tough work. And again, I think this is exactly the kind of difficulty they should be. It should be impossible to beat on the 110 AI. That's what you want it to be. You want it to be absolute elite levels. We make a little bit of contact with the wall. Quite an unusual pit exit here, and we come out behind Sergio Perez, and my teammate has actually got out ahead of him, so they've done the undercut on me. I couldn't pit because my teammate was ahead of me, and now I'm going to try and push as hard as I can and see if there's anything I can do to try and get myself back on this podium. But skipping onto here, using the overtake button, but once again it is just so hard to save because it is constantly in that medium ERS zone. You can't change it unless you go on the overtake, which again I'm so thankful for, because although I felt I was pretty handy at changing the ERS modes on the previous game, it's not what you want to do. You just want to focus on the driving, and that's the thing I really love initially about this game, is that you are just focusing on the driving. Yes, you still change the fuel and everything as well, but that's not really as significant as changing the ERS modes. It just feels so satisfying to be able to just really push the car again, really push the car, and I really cannot wait to get racing in this game. But there will be plenty more gameplay as well, as I'm trying to get back in the DRS line of Perez. But down below, let me know what you want to see. Later on, I'm actually going to be releasing a complete setup explanation, which I feel is incredibly important for people who want to build their own setups and get to their maximum potential in the game, because it's going to be very important in this game, I can assure you of that. So I'll be doing my best to explain this. But you can see now, I can't use the overtake because otherwise I'm just going to go completely under a 10% ERS, braking very late again, trying to get the traction as early as I possibly can, but I just can't get close enough. But moving on to the start lap, it's pretty much been in deadlock this entire time. I've been pushing as hard as I can, trying to use the rest of my overtake. I've hardly used any, but still, it hardly saves anything per lap. It saves less than 10% a lap. So if you go down to 0 ERS, you're going to be having to wait 10 laps for it to get up to 100% again or something. And if you use it, you lose 10% in a couple of seconds. So it's just, you have to use it at the right times, because otherwise you are just going to be left as a sitting duck here, as I'm trying to use it through here, not an overtaking zone like Hamilton did to me in the first stint. And I notice you get a lot more dirty air as well on this game, but I feel the slipstream is not quite as powerful. That's something I'm going to have to test a bit more, but first thoughts are that the slipstream and the DRS is not particularly powerful. It's just the overtake button, really. You can see DRS again, but we're not closing in or anything at all. So going through this last sector, I really like this last sector, clunking this curve, but missing this one. Third gear to get on that power, nice. Lewis Hamilton already wins the race, a long way clear of what I did. And first impressions is, I think this game is going to be a lot of fun to play. And crossing the line, we come home in P5 in a Red Bull, not bad against 110 AI at the new Zandvoort circuit. Let me know what you want me to see, or what you want to see from me on future videos regarding this game. Thank you so much, and I will catch you very soon. Peace.